Hey everyone, my name is Kaylee Barbosa and I'll be playing Alice.
My name is Addie, and I am playing young Alice.
Hi friends, my name is Alex Ramos and I play Alfred and the White Rabbit.
Hi, my name is Hannah Bienvenu, and I'm playing young Alfred.
I'm Laura Foligno, and this summer I'm excited to be playing the Cheshire Cat.
Hi, I'm Greg Maddock, and I'm playing the Mad Hatter.
Hi, my name is Abigail Adams, and I'm playing the Queen of Diamonds.
Hi, my name is Alec. I'm going to be playing the part of Nigel, who becomes the Dormouse.
My name is Andrew Kimmler. I'm 23 years old, and I am playing the parts of Dr. Buttridge, King of Hearts, Mock Turtle, and the Jabberwocky.
Hi, my name is Shannon DeRose, and I am playing one of the parts of the Caterpillar.
Hi everybody, my name is Nate River, and I am thrilled to be making my Theater 444 debut as the Duchess.
I am Caitlin Combs, and I will be playing the Knave of Hearts and Caterpillar number 3.
My name is Katie Hockey, and I will be playing the Queen of Hearts.
Your heart begins to ache. But once you start to eat, you're too tall for your feet. The bottle tells you drink. You never stop to think how quickly you will shrink. The more and more you drink.
Hello, everyone. I really hope that you all enjoyed that hearing one of the amazing songs from this amazing piece of theater called Alice by Heart, and seeing some of the glimpses of the rehearsal process. And we are really glad you're here. My name is RJ Raposa. I am one of Pam's longtime collaborators and partner in crime. For this particular show, I'm serving as co-technical director with the amazing Mr. Garrett Coons. We're going to kind of go round robin here, but first I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves, and then I want to introduce our esteemed director. So I'd like to start with Laura.
Hi. Hi, friend.
Hi, friend.
Well, I'm Laura Foligno, and I'm playing Tabitha, and who turns into the Cheshire Cat.
Awesome. And where are you coming to us from, Laura?
Maple Street in Geneva, New York.
Amazing.
Or as we like to call it, MPL.
Nate, you're up next.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nate River. I'm from, can you hear me?
I can. You're a little quiet, though.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm from Canandaigua, New York, and I play the Duchess, who starts off as Dottie pre-Wonderland World, and then the Duchess.
Yeah, your sounds a little fuzzy.
Yeah, you're a little
closer.
Oh,
yeah, little choppy. If you got some TV on or anything using bandwidth, maybe try turning that off. How about Katie?
Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Hockey, and I am playing the Queen of Hearts, and I'm coming to you from Seneca Falls.
Lovely. And then I know in transit, we have Kaylee.
your mute is on, Kaylee. I think we're losing them. They're driving.
I'll come back to Kaylee because you're breaking up, Kaylee, and you're on mute. So I'm going to come back. Don't worry. I'll come back to you. So I want everybody to meet our esteemed artistic director for Theater 444, Pam Posa.
Hi, everybody.
So I want to throw a kind of a general question at you, because one of the most exciting things about this whole business that we're in right now is that we'll be bringing this show to Rochester Fringe. And I think folks would be interested in hearing about how all of this came about.
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks to some of our cast that showed up tonight. This is certainly not all of them. We have a much larger cast than this. And so you can meet them in their videos. We have a playlist on our YouTube channel of all their videos that you can go watch and meet each of them individually there. So we're excited about that. And then we also have 2 kiddos in the show that have never been on stage before. So that's exciting for them too. So we're excited to have them on board too. I came across Alice by Heart on accident. I heard some of the music, just was listening to Spotify. Some of the music popped up, and it's addictive kind of music, I think. Like Nate and I have talked about this a little bit. Like I know Nate thinks it's addictive too. I could not stop listening to it. It was so fascinating and exciting, and it felt like the kind of thing that would really fit with the Rochester Fringe Festival. It's different. It's not your typical musical. This is not The Music Man for sure. And it's a little dark and also really beautiful and haunting and all of the things that Fringe is, right? And so I was thinking about that, and I realized that it was not available to get. The royalties were not available to it. And so I then randomly saw that MTI was putting this out to schools in the spring. And so I wrote to MTI and I said, can a community theater do this with adults? And they said no. The rights aren't available for that. And so I wrote back to them and I said, well, that's really unfortunate because I have this really great idea that I want to do with it. And he said, well, write an email to the authors and I'll forward it to them for you. So I did that. I wrote Steven Sater and Duncan Sheik an email and explained that I wanted them to let us do this show and why I wanted them to let us do this show. And they came right back and said, sure, go ahead. So we are literally the only adult group in the world right now that has the rights to Alice by Heart. And slowly but surely, I have come to understand that it has a really, really big underground following. And people are super excited that are in the theater world about it because it is so brand new. It hasn't been done before. It ran off Broadway for a brief amount of time and then just before COVID, and then it came down because of COVID. And so now some schools have it and it's been out and in some schools, but there are no adult groups that have it. And so this will be really a regional premiere of the show, which we're super proud of and excited about. And also just one of the challenging parts about it is these scripts came and they've been updated and edited, and they're still raw scripts that are still in motion. So there's lots of changes. You know, the scores don't match the scripts. The words don't always match because they've been changing things. So it's been an experience being really close to the writing process. Here's Kaylee. She's back.
Yeah, it was different. It was really kind of cool and interesting at times when we were working before whatever came to casting and everything. We would have to ask each other, okay, which script revision are you looking at? Because I've got the February 1st revision. Oh no, I've got the June 11th. It was really that still in its development process.
Right.
So
Kaylee, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, tell us who you are. What's going on?
Oh, I just name and where we're from. Yeah. So I'm Kaylee. Andrew is currently driving. It is his birthday. We're running late, but getting back. So I grew up in a small town called Gananda, about 10 minutes from Penfield, and Andrew grew up in Canandaigua. So.
All right.
That's where we're both from.
So we got a couple different counties representing tonight. Awesome.
And Kaylee's playing Alice.
Yep.
And Andrew is playing a multitude of characters. The Doctor and the Jabberwocky and the Mock Turtle.
So I wanted to dive in and just ask kind of just in general, what attracted you to be a part of this production of Alice by Heart? Katie, you want to start us off?
Me? Sure.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, anything Theater 444 and Pam does, I know is going to be quality. And so that's the initial attraction for me. Like, it doesn't really matter what the show is. But she had sent me and another friend a text saying like, hey, listen to this music, like, check this out. And both me and our friend were just like, wow, this music is incredible. The harmonies in it and just the story that it's telling is really amazing. So I just, to make a long story very short, I had just come out of doing another show, and I wasn't going to audition for Alice, and I didn't audition for Alice, and it broke my heart not to. But I have two little ones at home right now, and it's just a lot of time that you invest, and it's a labor of love for sure. But I had just kind of made that agreement with my husband that, okay, I won't do another show right now. And just through the fates of the way the universe works, I'm now in the show. And I honestly, it was meant to be this way, I think. So I'm really honored that Pam has given me this opportunity and to play such a wonderful, well, she's not so wonderful, but such a colorful character.
Laura, what about you?
You know, similar to what Katie shared, I was not planning on auditioning for Alice by Heart. This was, although I did, this was a last minute decision for me. I just initially didn't really think there was a role for me. And then I found some more. I went down the rabbit hole of YouTube and found a lot of interesting videos in regards to the show. And I started really being curious about, well, you know, Pam is one of my very best friends. And as you know, we've worked together for almost 20 years. But so, you know, similar to what Katie shared, I knew that whatever we created would be something really organic, and that was attractive to me as an artist. It's been a while since I've done a show, and I've really been wanting to do something where I felt like I would be collaborating with other artists and actors, and we have definitely been doing that this summer. So that's been really worthwhile.
That's cool. Thank you. Let's hear from you, Nate.
Yeah, so can you hear me now? Is it good?
Yeah.
Better? Okay. So I've been a follower of Theater 444 for a long time now, since I saw the production of Spring Awakening that you guys did in 2016. So I've always been a huge fan of the shows. And I remember seeing a Facebook ad for auditions, and I was doing another show at the time and just very busy this summer. So I was like, I don't know if this is right timing for me. And I actually messaged Pam because I was like, maybe let me see if it'll work out. And I told her the huge amount of conflict I had this summer, which she has worked with so nicely for me. Thank you, Pam, for doing all you do. But I was like, is it even worth me auditioning? I saw what's going on. And she was like, listen, this is going to be a great opportunity. She told me about the Fringe Festival and how it was a new musical. And I was like, this feels right. This is a great opportunity that I don't want to miss. So I auditioned, and it has been an amazing experience. I'm so glad I did.
I'm glad you mentioned Spring Awakening, Nate, because some of the folks listening might not know that, Theater 444's very first show was Spring Awakening, and it is by a lot of the same folks that are behind the script and the score for Alice by Heart. So it feels like a bit of a homecoming in terms of our musical group. Kaylee, I want to hear you jump in.
Yeah, so I really have to agree with Katie. When I heard the soundtrack, I fell in love with it. I loved Spring Awakening from Stephen Slater's other works, and just fell in love with that kind of music as well. So when I heard this soundtrack, I knew it was something that I really wanted to be a part of. And not to mention what Pam was saying about getting the rights for this and being the only adult production to have the rights for this currently and be so close to the creative process. I've never had that opportunity before. So it came across as something really interesting, and I'm very glad that that I auditioned to be a part of it.
So I'm gonna.
Here's Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew.
I can drive and do this at the same time, right?
No, he's not driving.
I'm kidding. We parked. Yeah. So I did musicals all throughout high school, and then I stopped. I hung up the cape, both literally and figuratively. And all throughout college, I kind of just missed doing this kind of stuff. But I was waiting for like the right show to do, and the right people to work with. And then last summer, I saw a little show called Rent.
Just that little thing.
Yeah, that she also, yep. And I completely fell in love with Theater 444. I got the chance to work with Pam this past spring at a school function, and I said to Kaylee, I said to Pam, no matter what we're doing this summer, I will join.
Aw, that's awesome. I want to stick with the road crew there. So Kaylee, the next question is that's for everybody. I'll start with you. Just because your role is probably the best known out of all of them, but just what's the role that you're playing, and what do you find the most interesting part about the way that character is interpreted in this particular story?
Oh, wow. So the role I'm playing is Alice Spencer.
Kaylee, give some back context because they might not know the storyline,
Yeah. So she is a 15-year-old girl in a bunker in London during World War II while the bombings are happening. And she is in a bunker with all these different people from all different walks of life. And she is trying to find her friend Alfred, who is sick and kind of nearing the end of his life, not doing so well. So what I find so interesting about the story is it's a story of kind of processing just hardship, and not only hardship in the world, but also in your relationship with a friend. And what I really enjoy about this story is that it's told through the eyes of a 15-year-old girl, not an adult, where you normally get that sort of interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot kind of walking through all the different stages of grief, but not as an adult would process it, and more of as a teenager who may be naive and who may not completely wrap her head around exactly what's going on, but in the end need to come to terms with her environment.
No, that's really interesting, Kaylee, because as I've shared with more people that I'm working on the show and a little bit about the background, almost universally, people are like, oh my God, this story meant so much to me when I first read it as a teenager. And, it's interesting how timeless sort of the story is in a way. Laura, what about you, your character and it's something you're finding interesting?
Yeah, well, you mentioned Alice in Wonderland when we were youngins, and this was certainly a story I was familiar with, but not one that I really took to heart. But when I think of the Cheshire Cat, for example, there's this element of mischievousness to that character. And one thing that I'm noticing more about this interpretation of that character is she's serving as, what's similar is that she's a guide to Alice, which is what she is in the story. But she's also, filled with this mad advice, but also really anchored in life lessons. And I like playing that. And we got to do a really important song the other night, Kaylee and I, and that was nice to finally dive into something. Just to have that time to work opposite Kaylee in a little more intimate way, just to build that connection, because she does the Cheshire Cat character does sort of pop up throughout the piece with those life lessons.
And I have a little clip of Laura from the other night. Can I show it?
Sure.
So good.
my
And
God.
that band.
I know.
That was our first mini. I mean, they had other business they were taking care of. I was like, yes, let's sing. Let's do it. That was cool.
So, Nate, let's hand it to you, your role in something interesting.
So I played the
I want to hear you more.
Hello, can you hear me now?
A little bit.
I play the Duchess, and one word I would use to describe her, probably chaotic, maybe. She's very unhinged, chaotic, and it's funny because the whole joke about the Duchess is that she's a forgotten part of Alice in Wonderland because she's in the original story, but in many of like the movie adaptations, she's usually not there.
Yep.
Like I remember the Disney version that I loved as a kid. They don't mention the Duchess at all. And so she comes out saying how she's forgotten, wasted in an underwritten role. I kind of use that as motivation for the chaos. And that is definitely the most fun part about playing her as an actor. So it's a fun time.
That's really cool because you kind of get the you're almost playing the actress playing the character. You know, like I'm underutilized in the theater.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting too because in the script, the characters in the bunker that are in London in World War II are in relation to their Wonderland characters. So there's a connection there.
Pam, can I pause you?
Yes.
If you're not talking, if you could mute your mic, that would be helpful so we don't get the feedback of her voice coming back through.
There we go. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what I was saying is that their Wonderland characters are in direct relation to the characters that they're playing in the World War II bunker. So there's a connection there. And so there's lots of meat there as far as like connecting those characters. And yeah, and so Nate's character in the bunker is very similar in a lot of ways to the Duchess. So
that gives Katie kind of in this particular question the last word on your role, another one of the most well-known roles, right?
That's right, as the Queen should have the last word. The Queen is not the character that I would have auditioned for, actually, in all honesty. I would have wanted to be the Cheshire Cat, I think. And that's because that's a much more comfortable role for me to play. I'm an empathetic person by nature, and I think our Cheshire Cat is very much the empathetic one of the bunch, the biggest empath. But so the Queen is unhinged as well, another, word that can describe our Duchess. But I find playing her Wonderland counterpart, I'm trying to play her much more savage, obviously, than her real world counterpart of the Red Cross nurse. Because I've had to think about this in a way that it's almost ironic she's the Queen of Hearts in Alice's story. I think she started out in the real world with really great ambitions to help people. And then this war has just ravaged and sucked all of the goodwill out of her, that she has to live in this constant state of just, this is what I've got to do next. There's no time for this. Let it go. And that's where she kind of takes the place in Alice's story as that stern hand saying, hey, I know this really sucks right now, but you got to let it go for your own sake and for all of our sanity in here too. So she seems very surface when you're looking at her to start, but she's definitely not all menace and malice for sure. So.
you're on mute, Arj.
Yeah, that's if there was this after the COVID era, that's like anyway.
Yeah.
You should just have a sign. You're on mute. Anyway, I think one of the questions that I wrote first, but I saved it kind of towards the end of this initial chat, is I want to hear you talk about what the most challenging part of getting this show together so far? Like what's been the most challenging for you, maybe just for yourself, but also your perception of something that's been most challenging for as an ensemble? So I'm gonna have Nate start this time.
Yeah, so this show is different than anything I've ever done before because it is very much an ensemble show, meaning that everyone is pretty much on stage from the beginning to the end. There's very little room for breaks, especially for Kaylee. Like she is definitely on stage the entire time. But it's cool because we have all these different characters, like the caterpillar, the queen, the duchess, and we each play those characters. But when those characters are coming to the forefront, everyone else in the ensemble becomes almost like an extension of that character, if that makes sense. So we're all having to shift our minds each scene to a completely different part of Wonderland. And it's fun, but it's a lot. It's hard. But it's been a great challenge and it's been a lot of fun.
You know, Pam, I'm talking to the next person, maybe find a clip that's kind of to Nate's point about how.
Yeah, I have one. I
you
actually
do?
have one.
Okay, because it is interesting how one person one of the characters is in focus, but yet they all become parts of the caterpillar, for example, or they all become part of the Jabberwocky's army or whatever. So yeah, if you got a clip, that'd be great.
Yeah, this is a piece of, I think this is the Jabberwocky. Let me look here. And I think the other interesting part about this show is that because it's set in World War II for real, in reality, we're going in and out of reality all the time, right? And so we're using props from the real world in Wonderland, which is also really interesting because that's not something that you might expect. So I think this is the Jabberwocky, some of the Jabberwocky.
Great maniacal laugh there, Andrew. I don't know if you're still. One of my favorite parts when I read or listened to that clip online the other day. And you also heard Pam will be talking about some of the crew, behind the scenes crew, but you also heard the encouraging words of our choreographer, Elena Olivieri, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But
she has been such a dream to work with. Like really, we couldn't have done this without her. She's been awesome. We've learned so much from her.
Or a nightmare, depending on how sore you are at this particular moment. But we'll talk about that. Kaylee, what about you? Something that's been challenging to you individually or as an ensemble?
I think what's really been challenging in this show, not only I've never had such a demanding role. I've always had time to kind of go back and grab some water but this show has no intermission. And after the first scene, I'm on the stage until the very end. So just a lot there to be present and be in that character the whole time. Besides that, though, this is a very ensemble-heavy show, lots of difficult dance numbers. So I know that has been something, having everyone there and coordinating all these different movements has really been something difficult that we've all been working hard to really try and make work and make it the best that we can make it.
And coming off of playing Mimi, that's quite a thing to say, that this is the most challenging role. Katie, why don't you hop in?
So chaotic, I think, is a really great word to describe this show in many ways. Because not only are we jumping from, real world to Wonderland, part of the Fringe Festival, right, is being able to go in and set up your show within 20 minutes and get off within 20 minutes. So that in itself is a huge challenge. And so part of that is bringing in the set and the prop pieces and all that. So not only have we been challenging our minds and our bodies, we're also challenged just with like the physicality of the show in general and the actual moving pieces of the show. I'm really excited to actually finally put it all together, like from beginning to end, and really just see how everything ebbs and flows and where all the pieces are going to go.
Yeah.
This show has just it's so different from anything I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's been really refreshing and challenging. Like, this show is the first time I think I've called myself an artist in a long time. Like, it makes me feel like that. I don't know.
That's amazing. We're going to talk about some of those tech challenges when I chat with Pam about festival in general in just a minute. But Laura, on this route or this pass, you get the last word.
Okay. I would definitely say that the most challenging part for me has been, listen, I am not a dancer. I do not consider myself a dancer, but I feel like I've always held my own. And this show has definitely challenged me in that area. But it's, Pam and I were talking about this the other night. We are all outside of our comfort zones in this show. And I mean, that's part of why I auditioned. I wanted to shake things up a little bit. And so we're shaking it. We're shook. Something's shaking. I don't know. Hopefully it looks okay. But
yeah,
being a caterpillar.
We were last spring. We worked on All Shook Up for a high school, and I guess that was pretty. It was prescient. It was, that's a good transition in terms of theatrical comfort zone. Because Pam, I want to talk about kind of just the Rochester Fringe Fest in general. So, for folks that might be listening that aren't, or watching that aren't familiar with how that works, can you talk about the show times, and then you and I will talk about the tech stuff, but talk about show times and things.
Yeah. So the Rochester Fringe Festival goes over a span of, I think, 2 weeks, essentially. Okay. And so there are over 500 performances over the course of 2 weeks. So we get plugged in at different times, and it's not traditional theatrical times. So it's not going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. It's not going to be that.
House opens at 7:30, show at 8. Yeah.
Right. So you got to really pay attention to our poster has all of our dates listed. So we're September 12th and 13th at 8 p.m., the 18th at 8:15 p.m., the 22nd at 9 p.m., and the 23rd at 4:30 p.m. And so if you go to our website and you click on the Fringe Festival or the ticket button at the top of the page, it'll take you right to our page at Fringe where you can purchase your tickets. And you can choose your dates there, and you can look at more closely at the dates. But we start on the 12th of September. So it's coming up. And it is my understanding, I've never worked for Fringe before, but it's my understanding that they have had many thousands of people attend Fringe Festival. So if you're going to come to the show, I would really encourage you to get tickets. Now, some of our patrons are used to us performing in Geneva, and we are not performing in Geneva. We are performing at the JCC in Rochester, and all of that information is also on our poster and on the ticketing pages. So you can get the address and all that from there. But it's super exciting to be in a bigger theater space that's more traditional. However, it is nerve-wracking, like Laura was or Katie was saying, that we don't have any much rehearsal time in that space. So we're used to practicing in the space that we're going to perform in, and that's not the case here. We really just go in and set up and go, and so that's super challenging too.
Yeah, there's lots of technical elements that we usually can have control over all the little pieces of. So, we're going in and using other people's lights that we have to kind of program and figure out how to make work. And we only have one rehearsal to do that. There's other people, other performers using the actual physical space who also have props and costumes and set pieces. So, it's really a ways out of a comfort zone. If you know any other directors in your life, that they like to control as many variables as they can. And poor Pam's been stretched way out of her comfort zone.
And I told the cast at the beginning of this, the name of this game is uncomfortable. Like, we're just all going to be uncomfortable, and we're going to be uncomfortable together, and we're going to make it work, because this is how, we've all leveled up so much. I'm so proud of this group. This is not something that you've seen before, honestly, people. The music's very contemporary. The dance is very contemporary. The story is very dark. This is not Alice in Wonderland for children. It's just not. I'd say 13 up and up. But this is a piece of artwork for sure. This is a labor of love, and we're all out of our comfort zone, and we're really pushing really hard for it. So it's super exciting.
So despite all those challenges, Pam, why was and is it so important for you to be bringing this show to Fringe?
Well, I will say this. It is multifaceted. One of the challenges that we have in Geneva is that we have a lack of performance space available to us. It's very, very challenging to find places to perform, and it's very, very challenging to find places to rehearse. This cast has experienced a lot of change. We've been from church to church to church all summer long trying to rehearse. And so part of my initial thought was, well, the Fringe Festival is going to give me a place to do a show. So that was my first thinking, right?
Yeah.
But now when I really think about Theater 444 and where we've come in the last 6-7 years that we've been around, we started with Spring Awakening because we wanted to do Spring Awakening. That was it, and here we are 7 years later, and we're still going. And how do we continue to grow as an organization and engage artists in the area in an art form? I love community theater. I've done community theater my whole life, but we're really always trying to strive for really excellent quality artistic work. And so this is just a huge step for us to put us in a whole different place. And we're stepping up. And I don't think Rochester's ready for us. I don't think they know we're coming.
I hear you, but I'll tell you, one of the things that we've been talking about a lot, Pam and I and the tech group behind the scenes, the production team behind the scenes, is along with, performing at 8 o'clock on a Monday night, aside from the weirdness of that, we also have a lot more competition. There's a certain, yes, it's all about art and it's all about all those different things. But, there's 3 other productions going on at the same time we're performing, so there's an element of promotion to this because we want the people of Rochester to pick our show amongst all of these amazing choices.
And we also want them to know that we exist. So I think that that's part of it too, is getting out there so that the people in Rochester and the surrounding areas can also see that we are here and we are doing great work. So right here in the Finger Lakes. So
if we have folks that have free time, or maybe they're in Rochester, How could folks help you out to promote the show, get the word out, that kind of thing?
Well, first of all, share, share, share. I can't tell you enough how much angst I get from Facebook. Facebook changes the algorithm constantly, and so you may not see the stuff we're posting if you have not followed our page. It's really true. You have to actually click the button and follow in order for us to show up in your feed. So that's really helpful alone, is to have people just actually click in. Can everyone mute that isn't muted? And then the other thing that I would say is, share the word, share our posts. We are also looking for help. If anyone wants to hand out flyers for us, hang posters, we're always looking for help on that. We'd like to put a little street team together that is going to go up to the Fringe Festival because it lasts for 2 weeks. We need some presence at the festival during the day, handing out flyers, talking to people at the festival tent so that they know that we're here and that they want to come see us. So that's just a few things that you can do to help us, is just sharing, sharing the word is very, very helpful. So
well, there's also a tent too, right, Pam? Like a school tent or something?
So it's called a Spiegel tent, and it's right at the center of the city. And that will be the center hub of the Fringe Festival. So people like to hang out there. They'll go down there for events, or they'll go down to get information. And so we'd like to be present at the Spiegel tent. And of course, we can't be present at the Spiegel tent and rehearse and perform. So lots of hands is really helpful to have some people down there for us, handing out flyers and stuff.
So if you haven't picked it up yet, we're really excited about this opportunity, as well as marginally terrified. But we're rolling with it. But I want to get back to all of.
Look at Kaylee's new dog.
Look at Kaylee's new dog. Maybe Rosie will make an appearance here. So I want to get back to all y'all. So this is sort of an overall question as we cruise towards the end here. What's something that you hope people will come away from this show either thinking or feeling? I'm going to make Katie answer that first.
This show, if you come to see this show, I find it hard to believe you're going to walk away unaffected if we do our jobs correctly. I think it's going to hit a lot of people right in the heartstrings, because I think a lot of people can relate to, losing someone they love and the difficulties of that. And there's also this strange sort of beauty in it, though, too, in that it allows you to heal. So it's not all dark all the time. I think that's part of, even though the journey may be dark, the end doesn't have to be. So
I love that. What about you, Nate?
Yeah. I think
all right, Nate, we're back to not being able to hear you again. So you try one more time, and then I'm going to bounce.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, good. One of the overall messages of the show is that art helps us get through difficult times. And I really hope that people take that message to heart, because live theater is important, especially. And for people who don't know, there is currently an actors' strike for union members right now, who are fighting for better wages and fighting against AI technology that will potentially be taking away jobs. And I feel like that is all connects to the message of, we need art, people need art. Art is one of the first things to get cut in funding for schools. So yeah, art's important, and
Preach, Nate.
People
Preach
really
it,
hear that
Nate.
from the show.
Preach it. I'm gonna go Kaylee and Andrew. You guys, the dynamic duo there, get the last word on this. What are some things that come to mind for you, and that you want people to walk away from this show thinking or feeling?
So Kaylee and I talked. We're gonna go every other word.
No.
Great. I have a good improv game like that.
For me, I just want people to have fun. The best part of festivals is that you just go to things that you did not think you would try to go to, and you're just always wonderfully surprised. I want people just walking off the street and like, what's this? And then just have so much fun. Every single person in the cast has so many moments to shine. I'm going to take it back to what Nate said earlier. He was talking about how the Duchess is this forgotten character. Duchess will not be a forgotten character after the show because Nate is killing the game. So I just want people to come in and have a great time. There are so many colorful personalities in the show, the characters, and I want people to walk away with the message and affected, but also just saying, wow, I am so glad I went to this, and I'm going to tell all my friends to go to it as well.
Yeah, I definitely hope that people walk out of this kind of having a perspective on Alice in Wonderland, which everyone knows, but a new twist that no one has really experienced unless you're familiar with this show. And if you are, you probably haven't seen it live. So just this new twist on a modern tale, I think is going to be something very interesting. And I want people to leave with not only acknowledging those like really like moments that tug on the heartstrings, like Katie said, but also just there's some really sweet and touching moments in here too, and life lessons that everyone can relate to. So I hope they leave with their heart full by the end of the performances.
Kaylee, something you just said reminded me to say that this is one of those shows that I've discovered from talking to some college faculty where I work at Lemoyne in our theater department, but also their students, where it has the soundtrack has an online following, like it never used to before, this soundtrack. And so it's so cool to see you all, the times that I've been in through rehearsals, to see you actually performing it. It's just so cool. Like, it just is so amazingly wonderful to see it played out, fully realized.
RJ, I'm going to play a quick clip before we go of Kaylee and Alexander Ramos, who's playing Alfred, and he wasn't able to come tonight, but I did want to plug him also. The two of them are killing this show. They are just beautiful together, and I want to kind of highlight that. So let me pull up a quick video of the two of them at rehearsal. See if I can find it here.
And Alfred Alfred is the World War II character, and his Alice in Wonderland character is what? Kaylee.
His Alice in Wonderland character is the White Rabbit, and then briefly the March Hare.
Right. Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
We fell down a hole.
Gorgeous. And just think when the iPhone's not set up on top of the piano.
Right.
How much better it already sounds beautiful. Pam, before we send everybody off into their real lives, what's next up for Theater 444 after our run with the
Before we go though, I need to mention Meredith Beckley, who's our music director, and she's
thank you.
She's my right hand man, so I love her to death, and she's working with us too. So our next show is coming up in November, and we are doing a show called The Absolute Brightness of Leonard Pelkey, and this is a play. It will be at Fatzinger Hall in Waterloo, above the Waterloo Library. It's a beautiful play. It's a one-man show, and we are so lucky. If you know Patrick Fegley, you are gonna just love this show. He plays every character in the story, and so it's going to be dynamic and beautiful, and we're excited about that. So that's coming up in November.
The other thing that's exciting about that, since we've done so many shows at Fatzinger, it's going to be a totally new experience for you, because the Waterloo Library, thanks to a bunch of grants, has had a beautiful renovation. Mm-hmm. All looks the same in terms of its historic character, but no more of those hard wooden seats. There's beautiful new seats in the whole theater. There's a new lighting system. There's a sound system, and we can't wait to get back there and kind of be their first big production in that space.
Yeah. So we hope you get tickets to this show. You go to our website, click on the Fringe link, and it'll take you right to the Fringe Festival. Grab some tickets. We have no idea how many folks are coming, so I would get them now. We're super excited. It's going to be fantastic.
I just posted the link again to our YouTube channel. Please follow and subscribe there. Pam posts little teaser videos now and then where you can get to see little glimpses of all these beautiful people that have been on here and the rest of the cast that couldn't be with us tonight.
Yeah, and we love them all. Thank you all for coming, and keep like our page, follow us so you can keep in the know of what's going on.
Like, follow, all those things that people say these days. Thank you very, very much, both for the cast and for those of you that are listening to us.
Good
both
night,
now
everyone.
and when it's recorded. Take care.